Hello, so I'm on. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear me all right because I've got my birthday present from Hypon, which is a Japanese gas mask. So they're quite uncommon to see these outside of Japan, so quite good for doing a video on, just to see if I can get that light being a bit less dazzling for the camera without going off. Again, the annoying thing is it's quite hard to get the light at an angle where it doesn't actually overload that camera. Probably the best I can get it done. So hopefully we get some people on. This one does have a weird thing that when I'm talking, it makes a bit like the Shum's sort of slightly vibrating noise. All right, Rich. And I also thought I'd put on because of the way the UK is getting like probably most compact stab vest. I thought I'd just put that on under here, stab and ballistic vest. So not one with the plates in or anything, but this one's just a lightweight one that is pretty slimline, but doesn't really cover your sides very well either. This one there's like a big bit. Can't really see with the angle there, but I'll stand up. There's a big bit here, here, and here where somebody could get you with a knife on this vest. That's the problem with it. Then you can see that sort of like where it does up. You could probably tighten it up more too. Let me have a go. Actually, you're right, Tony. Time. It might be one that, yeah. I suppose if I tighten the vest up a bit more, there's a lot less of a gap there, but it is still one of those vests that doesn't have quite overlapping panels. Well, Grey Man, the idea is for me is not be in any sort of place where there'd be a terror attack. But again, that's easier said than done. But it really depends what it is, because if it's somebody that's just walks into where you are with an AK or something, you're fucked. If it's not where you can barricade a door or something. So yeah, it's one of those things that like there's stuff you could use for self defense, like I've said before, and lots of channels have said that you shouldn't really potentially carry on you, but they're not illegal to carry. That you could use, but again, it depends. If it's multiple attackers, you're pretty fucked if you're in one of those places where you can't easily run, but you should know where your exits are and stuff like that. But for me, it's don't go to any of the places where somebody might decide is a good place to attack. But the way the UK is going, basically anywhere could be where there's a terror attack now. I've never seen pre-made bug out bags. Like I said, I've got that pre-made first aid kit that I then added more stuff to. But I've never seen pre-made bug out bags. Are they like preppery websites that sell those or what? And what's in them? Like water and rations and like blankets or what? Right, Visa? So yeah, I'll take the mask off a second so people can see this mask a bit better. The video is coming out on it tomorrow, and then I'll do a longer video on it. So it's from Japan. I'll have to not do the racist voice. So there we go. It's a TR800, I think it was called. No, I have to look up. It's again, I've forgotten the number of it, but it's made by Shigematsu, which is apparently a big Japanese manufacturer of hold up there, so maybe it focuses. Shigematsu. There you go. I can't help myself. And again, it's like one of those ones that's sort of a bit 3M like, where they have their own connectors. Because obviously there's some Japanese military ones which I think are 40mm NATO, but they're even harder to get because I think Japan destroys them rather than selling them as surplus at all. So with these, it's a case that they're exporting them to a couple of countries, but otherwise somebody needs to basically take them out of Japan for you in their hand luggage. But yeah, it's quite comfortable. It depends how much they are, Grey Man, but the point is there's no point having a gas mask if you don't have working filters for it. So it's just one of those cases of what are you expecting for it and all that sort of stuff. Is he sort of been officially cancelled now, as in people have just given up watching him? Yes, it's quite a nice lightweight mask. Again, it's much more like a 3M style mask, this style one. So yeah, Shigematsu. And I forget the number without looking it up, but the video is coming out on it tomorrow. It was something like TR080 or something like that. If they're in date, £11 is really good, but I'm assuming for £11 they're just particulate filters, are they, or a very basic type of filter? They're not a full-on ABEC or like CBRN filter. Yeah, you're just gonna have to buy Chinese filters, stalker with an oil lantern, because that's about it now. Because again, good luck buying from Russia reliably. Um, so yeah, like I said, this is quite a comfortable mask. I think Hype got me this one because he said out of all the civilian ones you could buy, this is the one that looks the most like a military style one, as opposed to some of them which just look very kind of just very 3M style. I doubt. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's just personally, I doubt you're going to get an in-date NBC filter for £11. You could get expired ones for £11, but £11 is normally a bit more than you're going to So yeah, weirdly, it's got a cover you can put up like that on the exhale valve. I don't know why. And then yeah, it has got a proper voice diaphragm, as you can see if I hold it up to the light. That wasn't in the way. Yeah, so you can see where there's obviously a membrane there. So yeah, quite a good mask. For some reason, the inner nose cup's made from a different color, like see-through silicon, than the outside silicon, which I always find a bit weird. Well, I get it when they do a completely clear silicon for the nose cup, so your view is a bit better. But when they do it just as a slightly different shade of like whatever, because there it looks quite grey, but it's not. It's like if I hold it up to the light, so it's yeah, it's one of those weird. It's like one of those like almost like if you had a frosted window kind of color. That one, yeah. Um, how it depends how long they've been expired. The problem with Scott filters that I've said before, Grey Man, is that Scott filters tend to not be wrapped in foil or anything like that. So the problem with Scott filters is that even if you buy one that is in date and well, even with the in date ones actually with Scott, because a lot of them are just literally in kind of an airtight plastic bag type thing, it's very easy for them to get ripped in transit and then your things counting down. So if you, for example, had one that expired, say, in 2010, but you think if it was sealed properly, it might be good. The problem is the packaging could have been partially split open years ago. So yeah, Scott ones are ones I'd sort of avoid. They're not actually bad filters if you get one and they've been stored well. You don't need to go to the USA to buy filters. I don't know where you are, Grey Man, but you can buy loads and loads of filters all around Europe. Too many, Tony Time. Again, I don't count anymore, so But yeah, so the only thing that's a bit annoying with these filters, I suppose you can probably, depending on which way you first start putting the filter on, you can customize which angle the thing lines up with. Yeah, I suppose then they're sort of at the same angle pointing upwards. But yeah, because again, this is just one of those ABEC filters where it's then got a particulate filter that's sat in the front. Again, I don't know well you're going to see that on screen. It's got one of those like particle filters and then an ABEC filter, and it's one where you can just have the ABEC filter on its own. If you're in Norfolk, then no, I don't know why you'd have any advantage buying filters from the US. What you want to do is, like I've said before, just buy filters from industrial stores or whatever. But let's have a look on eBay. I'm sure you can find some in-date filters on there. I'll just have a quick peruse. So, but there are literally companies that sell filters, like that aren't eBay, like hardware stores and stuff like that, like I've said before. Spaziani filters that are on eBay. Again, I don't know when they expired or if they're in date. Let's have a look. But there are ones I'd obviously only go with the ones with caps, not the ones without caps that expired. But there's Spaziani ABEC P3 filters that expired in 2021 that have still got the caps like taped onto them. So that's pretty good. There's some Climax filters that are still in stock. Does it say if these expired? Again, it doesn't specify if these particular filters have expired or not. So be quite careful with that because obviously you don't want to buy expired filters in date. There are some Scott Pro filters for £30 that are in foil coming up. There's a 3M Neosh ABEC filter for £13.95. That's not bad. That's a single one, and it ran out in 2014, so it's about 10 years old. There's it's 5 filters for £200. That's not a good price. But yeah, there's still plenty of filters on eBay. Like I said, you just have to look them up properly. No, you can't buy bear spray in the UK. Can't buy bear spray, pepper spray, anything like that. Um, but yeah, the problem is, like we said in the UK, is you're pretty much defenseless. The government wants everyone in this country defenseless. Well, there's a lot more people now calling for pepper spray to be legalized because of all of the stuff going on at the moment, with both people being stabbed and attacked, and especially women. What happens to them now in this country? We won't. I don't mind you bringing it up, Grey Man, but don't bring it up anymore. I'm not. I'm just going to give you a polite warning, just because there's lots of stuff like that that you could potentially use, but it's very illegal. Again, everybody now that's doing that, like I said, I'm going to give you a warning first, but yeah, because obviously on here I have to make sure I follow the laws, even if I don't agree with a lot of them. So I'm not going to start. That's all right. I'm just not going to let people say, here's something you could use that isn't legal, kind of thing, where yes, I agree with you and I agree our laws are shit, but you know, discuss it somewhere else if you like. Chainmail in public, well, I said I've got the little stab vest on here that's quite a lightweight, nice one. But I don't mind talking about the other stuff. It's just don't bring up the stuff that's not technically legal in the UK, because like I said, then I'm in a bit of a weird position where they could say later on, "Oh, you were facilitating people talking about the illegal stuff." Right, I've got some alcohol-free cider to have now because it's been in the fridge for yonks. It's Copperberg. Is there an expiry date on it? Might have been one that's completely worn off. But yeah, I'm sure it'll still be fine. Airsoft guns, you can own them, but you can't take them out in public. What, like in Oh, it's I was going to say in what you call it, Scum, but in Scum it's not soap in a sock, is it? It's like he gets the uh snooker balls or the pool balls, whatever they are, in his sock to beat the shit out of that guy. No, it's all right, Grey Man. It's a lot of people do bring stuff like that. It's just like I said, I always warn people first that I'll politely say stop talking about it, because it's only when people keep bringing stuff up after you've told them to stop, and I block people over it. It's like I said, on other places they might be fine with you talking about it. It's just because obviously in the fucking UK you have to be very careful. What, for very cold or wet, Grey Man, or whatever? Because in some cold weather clothing isn't for wet weather, and vice versa. Yeah, you carry it for hygiene reasons. Yeah, but like I said, the funny thing with this vest is it always makes it look like you're wearing like a what you call it, like one of those string vests or like netted vest things. But no, it's like I said, it's got one of those weird liners on this one that isn't like a solid material liner. It's just kind of like a string vest to keep the Kevlar panels in. Why would you want to go to Russia to get masks? And if you go to Russia as a Western person, as in didn't somehow buy them and have them smuggled online out of Russia, there's a very good chance that you'll just be arrested when you go to Russia, so you can be auctioned back to your country's government. So the answer again to this is no, don't go to Russia. Yeah, I've done that up too tight now. It's too tight on my neck. Okay, it's quite hard to know with some of these where you sort of do the thing. Yeah, this vest is one that I bought a while ago, and I barely used this vest. I kind of forgot I had it. I can't remember if I bought it to get the Kevlar panels out and then thought it was in good enough condition that I won't bother. But yeah. It depends, because like you're saying, if you're in a situation where you can get potentially wet, you can't wear the stuff that, because some cold weather clothing is for very dry cold conditions like mountains and stuff like that. For snow, you can get bars suits and the equivalent of those, like the really insulated kind of waterproof military style thing, or water resistant military style clothes that are like that. Sometime this week, Grey Man, maybe next week. Again, how long is a piece of string? It depends how quickly they put it through whatever courier they send it via. Um, Are you in a country, Alexi, where you can't buy armor? Otherwise, it's very easy to just get armor and panels. It's only ever a problem if the specific vest has, like a weird sized plate carrier slot or whatever. Because that's the problem with some of the British Army vests I found. Is that some of the British Army vests are in like the plates for them aren't like universal size plates, so they're not like a standard SAPI plate or whatever. They're a bit in between sizes, so you can't quite fit a SAPI plate in or whatever. But like the ECBA plates are too small, that kind of thing. That's why I kind of like just the generic, vests where you can have the front and back Kevlar, and then they just have a massive zip up pocket for whatever size plate you want to put in. Ah, right, yeah. So I could understand why that might be a problem, Alexi. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, that's the only problem with some of the Milcert body armor compared to like buying the ex-police stuff or whatever, is because yeah, certain militaries make weird plates specifically for their vests, where obviously most police style vests or whatever, or just generic plate carrier kind of plates and that are all made to a pretty uniform size, or uniform set of sizes, so you can just buy any brand of plate and stick it in any brand of plate carrier or body armor or whatever. But yeah, it was over 48 hours ago, I think, when I got mine, wasn't it? I did the stream, didn't I, Monday last? Today's Wednesday, and it hasn't come today. All right, yep, I'll get the mask back on then, Hype. Hang on. So again, thank you very much for this. Haven't tried the donut bits yet, the donut sticks yet, or the tea. But yeah. So this is comfortable. I definitely wouldn't want a small with this one. Like this is about as small as I can go in a medium before a mask gets uncomfortable, but it's not bad. I probably wouldn't have wanted a large in this one. I think this is just right. But yeah. I think I can kind of see what you mean about the nose cup though, but it's not too uncomfortable. But yeah, this is definitely one of those masks where small would have been way too tight. Large might be all right, I don't know, but the medium's pretty good on me. I'll have to look up again in a minute, Grey Man. But again, like I said, I've just found you some on eBay just now. But I can't remember if Screwfix do 40mm filters or not. But a lot of hardware stores do filters, like I said. Just have a Google, really. I've definitely found a load before. You just want to look up ABEC, as in Alpha Beta Echo Kilo, rather than like CBRN or NBC, because obviously stuff sold to civilians, they don't sell as NBC, CBRN, they sell them as ABEC. Again, you can get the stuff that gives you the exact same levels of protection, they just give it a different name. K, not C. So K is in kilo. The K is for acidic gas. Sorry, not acidic gas, ammonia. So yeah, ABEK. Like these are ABEC filters on this one. Like that look. I don't know if it's going to focus. See that where it says ABEC 1? So the A is organic vapor, B is groups that are inorganic vapor, E is acidic gas, K is ammonia based gases. The 1 is just a particle protection. Sorry, no, the 1 on this will stand for it's ABEC level 1, as in it works against low concentrations of gases, but nothing that's too intense. Yeah, it does do a bit of buzzing, a bit like the shums, and I don't know if that's because I'm just letting too much air go through as I breathe. But yeah, it is nice to have like more of an industrial style mask with a voice diaphragm on. A lot of them don't do that. Yeah, you can buy. Like I said, there's no restrictions on body armor in the UK. So, like I said, at the moment, like I said, I've just got one of those old police vests on. I've got a plate carrier, but I'm not a massive fan of just a plate carrier on its own, as in like the ones which don't take any soft body armor, just the SAPI plates or whatever. Because again, I know they're a lot lighter than having full body armor, but I don't like how little coverage you get. The ones like I said and I've got a video on it that I've done before. Because I got it set up like a bug out vest with it's although I've got it in this room at the moment. It's the one my Avon C50 lives with, and it's CBRN Camelback, and like I've got a first aid kit on it and everything else. The one I've got I like is like an ex-police vest that is like one of those ones that can be used as just a standard. So it's basically one of the vests like this, but obviously bulkier, and it's designed. It's got Kevlar filler all around it. That's the knife and like pistol resistant Kevlar, like this. Kevlar mixed with whatever the knife resistant material is in it. And then you can upgrade it with plates. So then I've upgraded it with plates. I've got a level 4. One of the plates I've got in is a level 4 plate. The other plate in it is like a bit better than level 3, not quite a level 4. It depends how far I'm going. I won't go too much into details. Within about 10 minutes, I could grab all my shit and get out the house. Um, but then it's a case of depends where you're going to, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah. Like I said, that's the only problem with any of those industrial style masks is all of them seem to have their own brand of um weapon collector. Caesar would be the best person to ask for that because he's obviously bought vests brand new. But anything that the UK police will use will be good enough for you. So like I keep saying to people, although a lot of people might think, oh, is it too risky buying something that's police surplus? Normally, not really, because the police are like forced after 5 years or whatever to surplus their stuff, because the rules are for the police is like after 5 years or whatever the time frame is, they have to have the panels and the vest sent off for inspection and repair, or they have to get rid of it. So they always, just as a rule, buy new vests in, especially because at that point you might have better lightweight materials. So I don't know the ones on Amazon, Rolando. The one I do know that you get some of the AliExpress stab vests off of Amazon, and they're not awful. They're weird. They're not proper UK rated things, but they're like thin kind of layers of metal that have been riveted together. So they're more like some kind of old fashioned medieval armor, but inside a modern looking liner. They're really weird. But when I've tested them and other people have tested them, they are actually fine against most like household knives. Nah, they're not chainmail. They're literally like riveted, like thin sections of metal. So you have like one little layer of metal, then you have another layer riveted, then another layer riveted that's slightly overlap. The Shums is still my favorite Russian gas mask, well, Soviet one for intimidation. PMK4 doesn't look as creepy as the older PMKs. So again, something like the PMK1 looks creepier than, or the GP7 looks creepier than the well, intimidation, horrific, and creepy are basically the same thing. What about the Mickey Mouse one? If you're on about the American one, never going to own one because how expensive they are and how rare they are. If you mean the British one, it's just a cheap children's mask they made in bright colours to make it more appealing to kids. But yeah, you can in theory get chainmail as well, if that's what you're asking. My oldest police vest, well, not a vest, but I bought a police set of police body armor to test, like one of the panels. And the oldest one I bought actually had chainmail just in front of Kevlar. But all the modern ones now seem to use like some other sort of stab resistant material. And then they do a couple of layers of Kevlar, a couple of layers of this stab proof material, and repeat that all the way through the vest. Whereas the old one I had was just chainmail and then literally a Kevlar panel. Like the chainmail was almost like stitched to the front of the Kevlar. Like I said, it worked absolutely fine. The nice thing about stab vests like this, like I say, in the police type ones, especially if you get ones with the quite minimalist liners, is they pretty lightweight and they conform to you, because they're soft panels, they bend to the shape of your body. Right, there's not really good arm and leg protection other than riot gear. Or like maybe motorcycle clothing, like motorcycle crash clothing or riot gear would be all right. But if you've ever seen those like things to prevent you cutting your arms when you're like dealing with shards of glass, although they are quite good at stopping somebody slashing across you or like on an initial slash, they don't do anything against somebody stabbing you. So if somebody's just going for you like that with a knife and you put your arms up, your arm would still get shredded to pieces. So they're better than nothing, but yeah, you'd probably actually be better with like motorcycle crash things on. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, your only real option for arm and leg protection is just like I'd say now it's getting into winter. Maybe like I was saying, if you can, there's probably companies that do some sort of stab resistant arm, like like a jacket like this where it's actually got stuff in the arms that protects you. But the problem is that then your arms will look kind of like tubes. Um, I actually think I prefer brass, just simply because the problem with the chrome finish is you can see like your fingerprints and everything on it too quickly. Whereas with brass, you don't have to polish it off as much, and it still looks all right. Yeah, let's see if this old alcohol-free cider still tastes all right. Yeah, it still tastes like strawberry and lime. But yeah, so just for anybody interested, I'll get the sort of thing up on eBay with what I mean with the old police vests. So right, there's loads of the AliExpress ones coming up at the moment, and obviously I need to find the ones that actually contain the body armor in them, not the ones that are just liner only. Because that's the thing you have to look at when you read the description, is see if it says it includes the panels. Yeah, this does not come with the plate, vest only. So yeah, always check the description. You probably have to go about 50 quid or up. Is there on eBay? I'm sure there's a way of sorting them by like price, isn't there? Like minimum starting price. But yeah, if you're interested in say just the panels, then you can get something like this. Oh, hang on, I'm going to need to shorten the URL somewhere. How? Oh, I hate the fact that with eBay by default it does that stupid thing where you get the really long URLs. Right, there we go. I know I could do an affiliate link, but I'm not going to bother with just Yeah, the main problem with old Kevlar, Kevin, is not in terms of ballistic protection, but just Kevlar in general doesn't do much against knives at all because it's very good against blunt crushing force from like firearms. But like a very sharp knife can stab through it very easily. And like I said, that's why most modern police vests are these like weird combination things like this one that specifically state they're ballistic and knife protective. So the majority of the ballistic protection is Kevlar, and like I said, they use another kind of material next to the Kevlar, normally in front. So if somebody stabs you, it doesn't go straight into the Kevlar. Um, so they'll be a bit heavier than a pure Kevlar vest, and they're normally a bit heavier than a pure stab vest because they've essentially got the two materials, glued them together. But yeah, so that's the inserts for one of the police style, like I said, stab vests. And like I said, if you go on eBay, let's see if we start the price. Yeah, let's start the price at minimum £50, say. I'm just interested then, and then obviously avoid the ones that are the AliExpress vests that are now going up to like 70 quid and are selling because obviously people now in the UK are getting a bit desperate. Let's have a look at some of the ones. So there's one in like the police bright yellow fluorescent green. Um, that's got the panels in because it says it's got ballistic HG1, so handgun 1A and stab knife resistant one. There's another one on here which is handgun 1, knife resistant one. Most of the little police vests are HG1, KR1. I will actually make an affiliate link to this one. Hang on a second, because they've got a few different sizes in stock. So let me just do that a second. Partner, isn't it? The eBay one. Yeah. And then I'll make you guys the URL 1 second. Just in case anyone's interested. And it's from a retailer, that one, that I've bought from before. 45 viewed in the last 24 hours. Yeah, you can tell that people in the UK want stab vests now. Again, everyone like me and Weapon Collector and that were ahead of the curve, but it's one of those things that's horrible to be right about. Going, yeah, you sure you don't want a stab vest for a rainy day? And then people going, oh, you're crazy, you'll never need a stab vest. And then, oh, look where we are now today in modern Britain, where you can't use public transport without being knifed to death by a terrorist or a lunatic. So yeah, let me generate link and then I'll shorten the link. Right, shorten link, copy. Right, there you go then. So for anybody wondering in the chat, yeah, massively. So like I said, some of the same sellers are still selling their old police vest inventory for like 50, but any of the sellers that used to sell like the $10 to $20 AliExpress stab vest that, like I said, aren't great. they're nowhere near as good as the proper police vest, but they would protect you against somebody with a kitchen knife if they, only got a couple of hits in. Like I said, where people are going like, "Oh, they're useless, don't use them." If that's all somebody can get, they're all right. But the fact now that a lot of retailers have moved those up in price from like £10 to £20, the AliExpress Temu stab vest, to now, like 50 to 100 or so. Right. I normally use a sleeping bag, but again, like I said, my shit hits the fan body armor doesn't have a sleep thing in it, because obviously it's designed to be literally thrown on so you can get moving. It's not, like I said, it's not a bug out bag. It's like bug out armor. Um, but when I used to have a bug out bag, I used to have like just one of like those good compression cold weather sleeping bags, but I wouldn't intend to sleep outside of it. Really, you'd want to find like a shed or something. But yeah. So there you go. Assuming that link works, I've just put in the chat. Let's click it and find out if it works. Oh yeah. Go to site. Are you sure you want to leave YouTube? Yep. There you go. So they've got medium and larges in, at least for this size. They've only got short in, but that's not too much of a problem, I don't think. But yeah, like I said, if you're in the UK, you need to probably get one of these vests sooner rather than later. And make sure it comes with the panels like this one does, because obviously on this one it says HG1 KR1 when manufactured. And it says obviously include stab and bulletproof panels front and back. What do you mean stab vest isn't going to do much in your opinion? Against somebody with a knife, a stab vest is fine. Well, it depends what you mean, Grey Man, because obviously I've not found that like those little foam camping things do anything really. Whenever I've been in a tent on the floor or whatever anywhere, I've never found an actual little what do you call it does much. But again, you can always find something, can't you, like old newspaper or whatever to lay on. But I'm not one of those people, like I keep saying, that is really like, oh, I'm really keen on, just running into the wilderness and eating berries for weeks, So again, you want to find another channel if you want to discuss all that stuff. Anyway, see your hype. Like I said, that's when I normally recommend stuff. It's more for not getting killed in today's Britain, as in somebody just stabbing you to death. Not so much Kevlar, Caesar, because again, like we were saying, Kevlar doesn't do shit against knives. The best gloves you can get. Oh, and this is speaking about people who are on about arm protection. That is you can buy the ex-police stuff. Is the old police riot gloves, because they are literally like some sort of really hard-boiled leather that's meant to be like flame resistant and knife resistant. And some of those as well, which might make it an offensive weapon. I don't know. Yeah, you can chainmail gauntlets to be all right, but they're a bit obvious. Some of the police ones actually do have like a weighted protective knuckle thing. So obviously, if you were to throw a punch with it, it is a bit like having a knuckle duster on. Of course, the police say it's just to protect your hands when they do it to people, but yeah, the police like actual riot gloves, public order gloves, or whatever they call them, do literally have like some reinforced bits in them. That means if you were to punch with that reinforced bit, it would do a lot more damage than just your knuckles to somebody's head or nose or whatever. Knock their teeth out. But like I was saying, yeah, in terms of arm protection, other than like people like the best thing for arm protection is what Weapon Collector did in his recent video, where he said like if you get a lightweight messenger bag or rucksack, um put a couple of magazines or a chopping board in a rucksack, and that way, if somebody comes at you with a knife or whatever, you can have your arm behind the bag, and you can have obviously a stab-proof material in the bag, and you can use the bag to try and batter the knife away from them. Um, well, certainly not Fallout in terms of realism. Um, Never heard of it, but I'll have a look, Joshua. Is it what do you call it? Ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. Oh, is it the advanced combat helmet? Do you mean the ACH? If so, I've got the British equivalent of it. Yeah, I've got the British equivalent. It's, yeah, ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. Very good, but at that range, your head will probably cave in from yeah, although it will stop a rifle round at that range, the back face deformation will probably still kill you. But yeah, my go-to actual military helmet is the British licensed copy of it, which is there. Because yeah, it's I can put night vision on it, and yeah, it's still the highest protective rated thing I have. It's just that is it slightly different than the older one then? But really, I don't think they're going to come up with a good solution to this until they do what's probably going to be a bit too heavy for some people and have a steel backing plate with the ultra high molecular weight polyethylene in. Because again, steel is better for back face deformation than Kevlar is. Again, Kevlar is still going to fold with enough thing. Yeah, there's a Shim 2012 behind me. I've never been a fan of a lot of the military gloves, Grey Man. Like I said, you get the CBRN gloves for the proper stuff, and then like I said, you get the police public order stock type gloves for if you're expecting to be punching people. But like fingerless gloves and that, I've never really liked. Again, I've got some, I just don't see the appeal of them. Like if it's properly cold, you wear cold weather gloves. Otherwise, you don't bother. Yeah, so like I said, Joshua, like I said, ideally, I want a company to do a mix that's actually steel and ultra high molecular weight, or like this Daimi stuff, whatever it's called, Daima. But yeah, because like I said, the problem with like I said, with Kevlar, again, it's better than just having the one thing on its own. But I actually think a steel pot kind of material would be the best thing to stop back face deformation. Because again, I know steel eventually spalls, but the stuff has to get through to hit the steel properly to spall it. But at least if you have a bit of steel as a backer, it's probably not going to cave backwards. Yeah, exactly, Kevin. That's the thing that I've actually got some. Even though I've not got like a rifle to shoot properly. Well, I've got obviously calibers. You know what I mean. I've not got like an AR or whatever. I've actually got an AR 500 target plate, like the human torso style one. I specifically bought that before I could get some proper plates, just to put in front of in the front section of one of my body armors. And again, I know the spalling in it would be awful, but I thought, well, at least it's something. Yeah, that's the thing. Retrowave is like I said, it's certainly better than nothing. And again, there's ones with British soldiers that got shot with the old Mark 7 helmet. Where they just really fucking lucked out, where the bullet went in, but then because of the shape of the helmet, although the Kevlar would have normally it would have gone straight through the Kevlar because of the shape and how they'd done the weave of the Kevlar or whatever. They did the thing where the bullet went like whoop, and then like reflected out or refracted out, whatever the term is. Again, sometimes that is just like a dice roll thing, isn't it? I'm sure there's plenty of times where the same bullet coming in would have just blown somebody's head off. Um, well, if it's an actual World War II one, other than sites that sell repros, they're going to be very expensive. Um, but yeah, like I said, that just eBay is your friend when you're looking for a lot of stuff like this. You just like again, like I said, if you're looking for stuff that's actually World War II and you don't want to pay World War II money, then you have to buy reproduction stuff. Grey Man. But again, there's lots of sites that sell reproduction World War II stuff. I've just never really bothered other than the German helmet because other than German World War II stuff, you can normally get the real stuff cheap enough. But yeah, like I said, my current plates anyway are just ceramics. Well, ceramic in the front of my proper body armor, and then in the back I've got the ultra high molecular weight polyethylene plate, and then I've got a really thin steel plate I've put behind it, literally like I was saying with those helmets. Yeah, but I think you're missing the point, Stalker. In one of these situations, you're not going to stand there and let somebody stab you to death. The whole point of a stab vest is the majority of your like vital organs are completely covered. So you are not just going to stand there and let somebody stab you. Again, the whole thing is don't be there in the first place. It's one of those stupid sort of arguments to get into because if you don't have a gun of your own or whatever, and somebody is coming at you with a knife, there's fuck all in reality you can do. So if you've got a stab vest on, you're a hell of a lot more likely to survive than if you don't have a stab vest. That's the reality of it. And again, it's like saying, yeah, but you're not going to ever go out your house then, are you? If you're worried about all that sort of stuff. Again, this is the sort of stupid comments you get. I'm not saying you're particularly stupid. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to sound like that. But you always get into these theoretical, stupid arguments where somebody goes, "Oh well, that level of ballistic plate isn't enough because somebody might shoot you with something else." Um, in most of the mass stabbing attacks we've seen in recent years, it's not somebody that's going around slitting people's throats. It's somebody that goes like into somebody's torso and moves on to the next person. Because thankfully, the majority of those people that weren't wearing stab vests survived that train attack recently. I don't know if the last guy is out of hospital yet that took the most of the blade attacks, but um, you can buy from companies completely legally over here, Kevin, that sell that stuff. But again, it's very expensive if you're buying it new. Like I said, the police literally sell all their second-hand body armor off and everything. So while the MOD tends to not surplus its armor other than helmets much anymore, yeah, you can literally buy directly from any of these companies because body armor isn't illegal in the UK. Completely above board, it's just very expensive. Or you can wait for it to be a few years out of date and then the police will dump it really cheaply on the surplus market. But yeah, like I said, you always get that kind of argument though, sadly, when ever you're talking about stab vests or that yeah, people always go, but what if they didn't stab you in the chest or whatever? And again, this is kind of like saying, about crumple zones in a car, but what if you crashed at an even faster speed? The whole point of it is it's saving you from the most likely thing that's going to kill you. And again, somebody, yes, could go for your neck and your face and whatever, your arms and your legs, but somebody just doing that, every vital organ is basically covered by one of these. So yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, if you don't want to get stabbed, full stop, don't live in the UK. Is going to be the answer to this. Never leave your house. They're not going to realize you've got armor on potentially. If you've got armor on under clothes, they're not going to realize that the knife isn't going into you. Or they're just going to know because it's going to be still puncturing your front layer of clothes. They're not going to go, "Oh, sorry, you've got armor on, right? Stand still for me to get your neck." If somebody is going at you like that, you want to be grappling them. You don't like this is like we're saying, this is why it's like to me it's a stupid argument. Because you're not just going to stand there and go, "All right, try my vest. If you can't get through, I'll offer you my neck." The whole point is you're fighting for your life or you're running or whatever. And this gives you the highest possible chance, that you're not going to die. It's like when there was all those arguments that like, oh, that now helmets are saving soldiers' lives from shrapnel and like, debris being thrown up by explosives. But what about the bits of their body that isn't covered by a helmet? It's like the reason the first sort of like, World War One helmets became the first thing is because you could cheaply issue helmets to everyone. But yeah, it's because you see the same thing as well, where people are on about pepper spray and they were going, yeah, but pepper spray doesn't kill somebody, so therefore you need to escalate to a gun and whatever. And people are still saying that somebody with pepper spray is still way more likely to survive somebody trying to attack them than somebody without anything. It's that same kind of thing that, like I said, there's enough YouTube videos on there of like US cops being rushed by at somebody with a knife, and it's again in general, it seems that the body arm again. There's still one I saw though where a cop puts I think his left arm up like that while getting stabbed, and obviously shoots with his right hand like that, kills or like severely critically wounds the attacker to the point they can't get off the ground, and obviously his left arm is proper fucked up and he obviously needs immediate medical attention, but that saved him from obviously getting stabbed in the face or whatever, like we were saying. Because as we were saying earlier, like there are some people say wrap a coat around your arm because again, that same kind of thing is going to stop the worst of it coming through. I'm assuming pocket sand is a joke because, like I said earlier, if you're on about spraying people with illegal shit, then I've already said that that's going to get you blocked eventually. Some do, some don't. So basically, years and years ago, cops never carried guns at all. And if there was some sort of major incident, I think they just handed them out at the police station. What they do now is they have like trained firearms officers and non-trained, firearms officers. So what they do now is basically regular cops don't carry guns, but all of them carry, as far as I'm aware, every cop carries pepper spray or CS spray or whatever and has a baton and everything else. You get a lot of cops that obviously are firearm trained, and a lot of those are in places that there's more likely to be a terrorist attack or in like certain areas and on like and certain distances. So if an event happens, they can be called in fairly quickly. And with tasers, this is a thing where more and more cops now want to have tasers, but they're not issued as standard because cops still have to go for a taser training course. So it's one of those things that, like, you'll have every cop with batons and essentially spray. Then, one in every 2 or 3 cops or whatever might be carrying a taser. So, like if there's 2 cops in the car, one might have the taser, one might not. And then you have all the armed cops that are placed at places, or called out if something happens. And when we had that mass stabbing thing in the other day, I think the armed police were literally there in about 5 or 6 minutes. So the response time, especially in places like big cities or whatever, they generally can get armed police in places quickly. But that's only just been because sadly we've had too many things where they've had to do that. Because when the Hungerford massacre happened in the UK, which was what sadly led to all of the semi-autos getting banned over here, uh, the only firearms trained police anywhere within like 50 miles were out training that day. So they had to literally send somehow like radio out to them at the firearms range that shit was going down to then get them, with all their equipment ready to send them back to where they needed to go. So that's why now obviously it's designed that they have, armed police ready to go. And I think they can call on bits of the army if need be as well, at least the SAS and whatever and other special forces. Because when they had the Manchester stabbing not too long ago, they did get, although it was the armed police that killed the attacker, they did have military units already at the time responding by the time the armed police got there. So yeah, if it's escalated as like a full scale called in as a terror attack thing, they can escalate it. When it comes to normal things, I think if police are told that somebody might have a firearm, I think they're probably told to keep their distance until firearms police arrive. Oh, Joshua, what, the one in Manchester? Yeah, it's really a shame, isn't it? But like I said, this whole country's gone to shit like that, where you can't go to church, can't go to a synagogue, can't get on the train because some religious nut or like I said, or just some other sort of nut decides that they're going to kill you. So well, like I said, Kevin, I don't have much faith in the police, and I don't mean that as an insult to any individual officer that does a good job. The problem I have with the police is so much more of their time now is being fucking wasted with all of this. Oh, somebody said something offensive online. I suppose that's pretty lucky then on the day, right, Rajiv? But yeah, the whole thing is like I said, and this is what a lot of people are saying, is that if the police wants to get a good image again over here, the police really need to spend all their time going after real criminals, not the, oh, it gets us a nice point because we've said somebody said something mean online. We could see the tweet. We went to the person's house and said, oh, don't do a tweet like that again. And then they can write it off as done. And that's why apparently it's become such a thing. It's because there's no risk to any of the cops and it's a super easy, like, crime solved, if you like. Whereas the majority of the public think that's a stupid use of the police time. Police should be there for actual real crime, burglaries, assaults, rape, stabbings, whatever. Yeah, exactly, Tad. And this is the point I've made before, that why I hate when, ever they bring out any sort of stupid amnesty type thing, like, oh, you have to hand another type of thing in because we decided to ban it. Actual criminals and people that want to do other people harm aren't gonna fucking care. They're still gonna carry whatever gun or knife or whatever on them. If Starmer's listening, I hope he fucks off and resigns. You are a disgraceful prime minister. And we're all getting fucking taxed more again, aren't we, soon? That's another thing. Oh, while there's not much going on, I'm just going to quickly launder some more money in Schedule 1. So I've still got the stream running. Oh, there's a customer right behind me going, oh, I need some of your shit. Make me an offer. There we go. They can buy some meth off of me. But yeah, it's just, yeah, because at the moment in Schedule 1, I've got to the point where all I really need to do in the game now is just keep laundering money until I can afford the mansion. But obviously you can only launder so much money in so much time period. But it turns out money laundering in the game doesn't stop overnight. So what you can do is, and I figured out, I didn't realize this to start with, the taco shop, the laundromat, the car wash, and then the post office are all kind of in a line with each other. So you can just do the thing where you just go to each one in order, start laundering, and then, like, yeah, you've done them all in a row. Like, I'm not even using a skateboard at the moment, you can't see, because obviously I'm not streaming the game on screen, but like I can just, yeah, literally without even using a skateboard, within like a minute or two, Yeah, and that's another $20,000 being laundered. So now I just don't pause the game. I alt tab back, and that's ticking away in the background. No, I've not seen the Starmer effigy on the bonfire, but that sounds funny. No, Rajiv, I was just bringing up in the thing about stab vests because this is probably my most compact stab vest. So I was just bringing at the point at the start of the stream that one like this, depending on what kind of coat you're wearing. Again, it does depend on the type of coat because again, you can see a bit of it there, but on a thicker coat you wouldn't. But this is quite a nice coat. But again, if somebody didn't know what they're looking for, they might not even know that's not the shape of the coat. But yeah, like I was saying, that's so this is quite a nice one because yeah, the way the UK is going, if I am on public transport at any time in the near future, this might be going under a coat. I've already wiped out the gang, Chuckles. All of the Benzies, or whatever they're called, are all dead. Because like I said, I whacked all their dealers and that, blew up their mansion, and now I'm just getting all the cash. So when the mansion's been renovated now, I can buy it for $250,000 and then start growing stuff in there as well. Although I might wait for the shrooms update before I start doing stuff in there. This does give you side protection, but it's not great, Rajiv, on this one because it's obviously designed to be more concealed. There are ones that give you pretty much complete torso protection. So this one, where that just about overlap there, you're protected, but you're not protected under the arms. On most vests like this, they're always going to have gaps for mobility. Obviously, if you wear something that's a lot more overt and bulky, you can get ones with a lot more little gaps in them. But again, the problem with all this stuff is you end up having to look like you're wearing fucking chainmail and everything. But yeah, so like I said, this one's pretty good because I've got some other Kevlar vests that do offer more coverage than this, but then the downside to it is they're bulkier under clothing. Weapon Collector did a good video the other day on some of like the companies as well that sell like pretty full-on body armor that's meant to look like a raincoat or like a cold weather jacket. I don't know. I don't do Facebook or anything, Grey Man. So again, not the person to ask. Right, Rajiv, I put an affiliate link to a different one in earlier. But so here's an affiliate link. I know it's eBay US, but I think the link should work anyway because it's just where I can do affiliate links. So that one, I don't know if it's going to be your size, but that was at least one kind of ex-police vest that still has the panels in. So again, that's not going to be too bulky because it doesn't have loads of pockets on. So under a coat, that would probably again be pretty similar to this one. It's a pretty similar design. It's just more of a proper cover on it rather than like a string vesty looking cover. But yeah, look at Weapon Collector's channel, Rajiv, and he did cover some of the ones as yeah, that's fine, yeah. But yeah, but like I said, on eBay you can that's cool, Planes. But yeah, on eBay, like I said, the ex-police vests always turn up on there. Just the problem is at the moment that people are actually they're selling out now. Where it used to be only the ones that were really priced quite low, and in really good condition sold out instantly. Now, yeah, everything's selling out. And like we're saying, be careful about getting overcharged for the Chinese style vests because while they're not awful, the problem is people are getting these like the lowest end stab vests now and putting them, like up to 100 on a lot of these places. So you want to buy one of the, like I said, the ex-police ones because then you get at least KR1, HG1, which is knife resistance one, handgun one. So they're basically rated against, most kind of lower power pistol rounds. So say 9mm 45, Magnum rounds are where you normally, I think, need the HG2 or whatever it is for the handguns. But yeah, a knife resistance one means anything short of a proper ice pick is gonna be protected. Because they also have a spike rating on some of them, but the standard vests like this don't have that. But somebody isn't going to still get a needle through that. It's just that, like, again, even though it's only like the lowest rating they do, the lowest rating is still considered good enough for most police. I like smelling salts to do it, but basically get the mask tight on your face, use something like air freshener or smelling salts, and check nothing comes through. I don't know because, like I said, you also bear in mind, with the mandible, you do, again, I've not got it on handy, I do own one. Bear in mind, it's meant to be worn with the eye protection as well. So rather than having the night vision thing on, you have the kind of like face shield thing there, and the mandible bit kind of clips onto the face shield. I don't know, Kevin. I'll have a look. But so yeah, with the Virtus, I think it is literally a case of you're not meant to wear the mandible without the eye bit. So that's why if you're trying to use one without the eye bit, there's not much for it to hook onto. Because yeah, again, I don't know, ear protection might make it even more stable, but basically the eye bit locks onto the ridge at the top of the helmet, and then the mandible kind of locks onto the bit it normally does, and then locks onto the goggles. So it's that's its 2 points of yeah, I'm afraid I can't tell you of the ear covers because I don't know because I don't have them. Sadly, links you won't be able to post links because only like I can post links or mods can post links. Right, let me have a look, Kevin, for that prototype Osprey vest. Prototype Osprey vest. There's one I found on the site called keepshooting.com. I can kind of see it, but yeah, it just looks like an Osprey with no camo on. So yeah, and again, the front kind of connector looks a little bit different, but I don't know if it'd be any good or not. Really, I don't see really why it would be. Yeah, if there's any merchandise, it should show up right below with the. Does that still show up all right? Because obviously I don't see my own videos in a sense. Let me just click on one of my own videos and see if all my merch comes up like it still should. So dashboard, and I'll do it not on a short. I think it has to be a standard video for it to show up. So let me go on the one I did recently of lasers versus Kevlar. And then there's normally a view on YouTube button. Yeah. Normally, if you scroll down, yeah, all my merch is literally right below a regular video. I don't know if it shows up below the stream, but it's literally in a. Is it Teespring? It's normally Teespring, isn't it? It's like on a sliding little thing. But yeah, so yeah, I suppose if you're interested in it as a prototype, and I'm assuming it's some legit thing, because it does actually look like a, weirdly like before they bothered printing camo on it, kind of test run of them to see whether there are any really obvious flaws. Yeah, it might be interesting for somebody to have that. I've got too much junk already, so I don't want I don't want to get any more stuff like that because I've been tidying stuff up recently. You won't be able to tell that from the background, but yeah. But so yes, so sadly, although I can obviously have the body armor on under my clothes, you could wear it overtly. It's just don't get one of the police ones because then people might think you're intimidating cop. Sadly, on public transport, I can't have my saber or whatever for when somebody comes at me with a knife and then go. Shh. But, in Minecraft, of course. But yeah, sadly in the UK, you can have the defensive stuff. You can't have the offensive stuff on you, even if it's being used in self-defense. So yeah, other than like I said to people before, get like some really fucking heavy duty torch that's really bright and could be used as a club if you had to do it to save your life. I didn't even know the Hungarians did a version of the ARFA, like the French mask that the Poles have as the MP5. But no, other than keeping it away from light, there's not much I know about it really, because I don't even know if like good quality silicon lubricant might damage it, considering how dog shit the standard RFA is for just drying out and turning into brittle plastic. Like I said, the Polish MP5 I've got, that still works. The lens has gone more orange than it used to be, even though it was still sealed in a bag. But the rubber's still good on it in a sense. But yeah, the French ARFA I had was the one that I eventually just did a video shooting into pieces with an airsoft gun because it literally was getting to the point where it would snap apart as you touched it. For Luton, the advice is not to go to Luton. And I was going to make some other comments and didn't because I'll get a knock on my door from the police about offending certain religions' feelings if I was coming up with some other good maybe crusader attire armor, shall we say? But no, I'll get in a lot of trouble if I mention that. So what? So it goes grey rather than orangey brown. I mean, like completely like kind of like a if you had a bathroom window where it goes like translucent grey and then just you can't see through it. They shouldn't do Rajiv, but unfortunately, there's one religion that gets offended very easily, and it also tends to be the most violent one at the moment. But we're not allowed to mention that in Britain at the moment because you can't believe your eyes or ears. I'm very sorry for you, Stalker of an Oil Lantern. Sorry, Stalker of the Oil Lantern. I hope that you do not get culturally enriched anytime soon. Um, there's not much else I can say. I'm sorry for you. But yeah. Yeah, is there anything else I can recommend? But like I said, I can't suggest anything to people that could be used in a defensive way because I know a lot of channels have recommended that stuff. But again, the moment you use it to defend yourself, you can probably get done for it. And if you get a really bad judge, they'll probably let the person off that attacked you with a knife and then say, "Look at all the damage you did to the poor knifeman's face. He was having a mental health emergency, and this poor person bludgeoned him with a torch." Well, I've got some Japanese donut stick things to try soon on video. What for keeping you warm planes or what just for use in Luton? Right, you can have your little accordion with it. Oh no, I literally did get a hate speech strike for a Serbia Strong related thing before by YouTube. And then they did remove it eventually. But yeah, that's the only hate speech strike I've got on YouTube was because again, some I guess spicy Yugoslav memes that weren't even that spicy on my video upset people. Yeah, I like the Serbian oak leaf, whatever it's called. Yeah, I've got two. It's just a shame they fade quite easily. But if you get some really strong green, like closed dye, you can make them look quite good again with closed dye. But I do like the camo pattern on those. Yeah, no worries. Oh, I've been on an hour. Right, yeah, I'll probably head off soon. Because yeah, this room's getting warm. My throat's getting a bit dry. I haven't had any proper dinner yet. Um, I've got an actual proper hospital appointment now for my colitis, as in having the old camera shoved up me. Lovely. Um, so hopefully they don't say, "Oh, sorry, we found you've got colon cancer. You have like 2 days to live." But the good thing, at least about having that, is they might say, "Right, we've decided that your colitis has got a bit worse, so we need to permanently change what medication you're on or whatever." Like I said, at the moment, I'm in that sort of stage where now I finish my 2 week course of the steroids they put me on, I'd say my stomach's getting a bit more unsettled again, even on the highest doses I can take in my normal medicine. I saw the one that said, "Thank you for the chat." That's the only one that showed up. But yeah, the Yugoslav jackets planes are a bit like a USM 65, aren't they? It's a very similar kind of pocket layout and everything else. Luckily, you don't have to do anything through the GP with this stalker. It's basically I've got an appointment with a nurse next week, and then the following week I've got already got the hospital appointment booked in for the colonoscopy. So it's one of those ones where at least when the colitis stuff is being dealt with by bits of the NHS, you're only ever sent through like the proper channels. Then you don't have to go back to your GP. They might just say, "We're writing you a repeat prescription." Well, that again, it's because thankfully, when you, like I said, when you're being seen by the proper people, they're all right. It's the issue is for people who haven't been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, then trying to get seen by, or Crohn's disease, getting diagnosed for the first time and then treated. Not seen it, Grey Man, but I will have a look at the Fifth Wave. Did you say the Fifth Wave movie? Is this the one about the guy that started fascism in school? No, this is a completely different thing because there's like a spaceship. What was the one called in the school? Because there's one that's based on a real thing where a teacher decided as like a cultural experiment to start like a fascism thing, and it actually went out of control where the kids were way too keen on hiling and like reporting anybody that wasn't doing their bit. Let me just put gas mask in the description, but no, I've not seen it, so I can't. Oh, there's a little bit coming up with gas masks. That one, I don't even know. It looks like a 3M style. It's not a 3M mask, but the only one that's coming up on the images looks maybe like a firefighter's mask. Yeah, I reckon it's a firefighter's mask or something like that. And yeah, what I reckon they've done is basically just not patched it up with any of the things. Um, so yeah, I haven't seen it, but my answer is that it looks like from the little one screenshot I could get up, the guy's wearing like a firefighter's mask or something, just without any airlines going into it. Ah, that's just the Wave from 2008. Well, it might be Rajiv. They haven't told me this because I did get a missed call from the NHS the other week and they never tried calling me back. But it might be that in one of my stool samples or the X-ray, they did find something they didn't like the look of. So it might be they've gone shit, get him in. But they've not told me that, so I don't know. But regardless, yeah, we'll see. What can you put in them? What are they for? 40mm grenades or 40mm filters? I'd assume grenades are they if they're for like standard like like a bandolier type thing. Can you put beer cans in them, or are they not? Are they a bit too small for beer cans? Because with some of the Molly kind of things, you can fit a beer can in there, so you can have like loads of beer cans all across you, and you can just go like that. You can do your tactical drinking. Get well, you could probably put whiskey bottles in, but that'd be a bit excessive. You could maybe put like a little tiny ice pack in the bottom of each one and a beer, and then yeah, just be completely loaded up with beer. Yeah, like I said, they're probably really useful, but yeah, off the top of my head, I don't know. There's like so many things like that that if you've got gear you just want to carry around with you on a thing like that, you'll find a use for it. You'll just match it to the closest size, but like maybe put a phone in one if it's big enough. If not, something like a radio code or a Geiger counter in one, and could be diets, could be stress, I guess. Again, the thing is with stuff like colitis and Crohn's is it's a genetic thing, but it's still like one of those weird genetic things, as in, like, it seems to be becoming more common. And I don't, again, it could be that they're better at diagnosing it, because bear in mind, years ago, with anything like autism or any of these things, basically you were just a bit weird or you were just unhealthy. They never found, and people just died younger and then, oh, they just died a bit younger. They didn't actually figure out what was medically wrong with a lot of people. But again, I imagine there is a lot of bad stuff in our diets, but again, I'm still one of those people that is still going to eat bacon and stuff like that. I'm not going to go, oh no, the doctors this week have changed their opinion again on what's good or bad for you. I better completely follow their advice at all times, especially because lots of doctors keep going on about how good a vegan diet is. Yet the people I know that went vegan ended up getting really ill. I know one person that went vegan, or one or two that went vegan, and like with enough supplements and everything else, stayed quite healthy. But I know a lot of people that went quite seriously vegan because of like animal rights stuff and ended up getting like malnourished and having like fainting and anemia and stuff like that, because humans are designed to eat meat and dairy and whatever else. Um, so yeah, it's one of those things that I tend to not listen to those sort of doctors. Like I said, I know with my own colitis that when that's flaring up, there's stuff I should avoid. But when the colitis is fine, there's stuff I can sometimes have. But other than that, that's just my own lived experience. So yeah, you can have RPG rocket pouches for wine bottles. You can have I'm trying to remember which type of pouch it was that beer cans fit in perfectly, and I can't now. It might have been just some sort of hand grenade pouch, I'm not sure. Um the modern Chinese filters that are made for the domestic Chinese market are Ghost, Theodore. Other than that, and smuggling them out of Russia and Belarus, the modern Russian ones, I don't really know, because not many countries use GOST anymore. And I think even Poland and that used to make GOST filters as well as NATO filters, a lot of those companies like Maskpol are starting to like really wean down their production of GOST filters because of the thing that, like once all the masks that used to be GOST are totally out of service, they're just going full on NATO. They're not bothering keeping the spare parts going for older things anymore. So yeah, my advice would be buy one of those Chinese filters that I don't have handy to show you. Wow, there's actually one on that mask there. That's a ching. Oh, I was going to say a very offensive word then to Chinese people. That is a Chinese filter, I believe, because it fits on a GOST mask. But yeah, although I've got on the Canadian C4, that one does fit GOST ones. But yeah, basically because China's got the weird thing where most of their export masks now they've realised like export masks and filters need to be NATO because everybody outside of China, other than Russia, wants NATO masks and filters because it's standard. But domestically, China does still use GOST. And Russia also has a really weird thing where one of the most recent Russian masks has a new standard of GOST they use, so it's not compatible with Soviet GOST, Chinese GOST, or whatever. Well, at least if the AI kills us off, it'll be a bit different than just being chopped apart by religious fundamentalists. So, I for one welcome our Skynet overlords. I can't see how it could possibly get any worse. I mean, I'd rather Skynet run this country than Keir Starmer at this point, so ChatGPT, how do we fix the economy, is going to do a better job than Rachel Reeves. Although I do find that thing funny if you saw where apparently some top US general was using in the Trump appointed lot was using ChatGPT to sort out military matters. And one of the top replies in like the comments on that in a news article or whatever was, "I'm sorry, you're right. That was a hospital. My mistake." Oh, that's good, Kevin, that it did clean up all right. Like I said, well, most masks, how I recommend you clean them up with like good quality silicone lubricant is very good on masks. Like I said, now and again, you will find masks where that stuff doesn't seem to work. Today, I ultrasonic cleaned that little pistol again. Got that slightly better than it was, and now it's literally soaking in WD-40. Because I had all oiled it off, but the reason it's soaking in WD-40, and it hasn't been fired or anything recently, so it's not like the WD-40 is going to rust it, is because there's still a couple of fucking stuck screws on that thing that I don't want to damage the little pistol taking out. So if I can get those screws out without having to do a little drill into them to remove them, I ideally want to do that because then I can completely repair the action on that pistol, put it back together, nicely oil it up, and it will be a fully working old antique flintlock again, flintlock box lock pistol. Where at the moment it has that weird thing where the trigger doesn't engage properly unless you fan the flint back further than it should have to go. As in, I think it just doesn't catch the hammer far back enough. Um, so yeah, it's one of those things where like I said, I'm now soaking it in a tub of WD-40 in the hopes that when I next open the tub in a couple of weeks and I have a chance to look at it, maybe enough of the internal screw sort of rust will have come off, and I'll actually be able to fully dismantle it, repair any action, whatever, get any more debris out of it that's just stuck inside. I can't get out even with the ultrasonic cleaner at this point. Polish all the wood up, put it together with a bit of wood filler, have it all nicely fit together, and actually have it as a little restoration. Make sure you get the ones that are the real ones, and bear in mind the very cheap small ultrasonic cleaners are the real ones won't fit much in. Like for about $40, if you get a working one, you're only going to fit like individual pistol components in them if you strip down the pistol. The one I bought recently that I did the video on today that's got a 15-litre internal capacity, that was, I think, about £200. Was it? Or was it a bit cheaper than that? But yeah, again, but bear in mind, like obviously, it's one of those things that quite often you can get one and then find that bits don't fit in it. If they can do a better job than people, I don't mind Because again, we've had so many problems with humans fucking stuff up in the UK that if an AI doesn't do any worse a job, I don't think it's a bad thing. Um, like I said, if because again, if you are more likely to get a cancer diagnosis sooner and be treated by an AI than a person, that's always a good thing. Unless you're one of those really anti-AI people that's like, no, you took the job away from a cancer nurse, and now more people just have to die for them to be employed. But yeah, it's like the whole with the AI thing is if it replaces people because it's legitimately better at things, like provably better, then that's only a good thing. If it replaces people because it's cheaper and does a worse job, then that's a bad thing. It's like any of these things. But in lots of countries, what we have anyway is just where governments decide that they'll get unqualified labor from the third world because they can undercut, actual training and workers of your own country. So yeah, they did that again today, didn't they? Whoops, we accidentally released another foreign sex offender into the UK population. Whoops, how did we do that? It's almost like they're trying to stoke us on, isn't it? It's just, yeah, at this point in the UK, I think they are just doing it to wind us up. Like, what can we get away with this week? I reckon Keir does that. What can I get away with this week? I'm already the most hated Prime Minister in British history, so I need to do something else to further annoy the British public. Uh, they got really upset the other week when we let that nonce out early. Can you let another nonce out early? That's actually a sensible thing, Saint, but a bit little too, too little too late. And again, the more the government wrecks the economy, it doesn't matter how good people are at budgeting if it gets to the stage where you can work a 40-hour week and can't keep a roof over your head and buy groceries. Because the yeah, well, again, maybe William will do it, but who knows? But yeah, I think again, I don't want to sound like I'm inciting anything, but yeah, the way the UK is going. Oh, I think I've got a customer over there. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I haven't had my fix in too long. I really need something right now. You got anything I can buy? Make an offer. I have. Does he want some California cum? 100% chance to buy. Oh, he's willing. Oh, he'll buy 8 of that from me. Yeah, $4,640, about 100% chance of success. Thank you, Mr. Addicted Jack Knight. You're smoking your meth pipe literally right behind me in my post office. All the money laundering's finished again. Right. I'll just finish laundering all my money again in Schedule 1. I'm not going to do it all again, but I'll start the money laundering up before I end the stream. Right, so that's the post office laundering. Over to the car wash. $6,000 laundering. Laundromat. $2,000 I can launder in here. I'm at 208,000 clean money now. So I only there's fucking pigs outside the taco ticklers. I have to run around the back way. So I can launder $8,000 in the taco ticklers. Right. That's it. The filth haven't seen me if I go in via the back door. Just close the door again in case a police randomly patrols outside. $8,000. There we go. It's counting now and again. So I think that's 24 minutes in game time, and then I can do another 20,000 in game dollars, and then very soon buy the mansion in Schedule 1. Yep, exactly, in Schedule 1. So rather than just saying in Minecraft, in Schedule 1. So far, very good, Saint. Not had any outages as far as I'm aware so far, whereas with BT, we used to have one 5 minutes every day. The speeds are pretty good, although I'm still messing about moving the routers and that around to try and get the best coverage in the house. Although the main issue I found out my PC has is that the Ethernet port in the back only supports 100 megabits per second because it's like my PC was apparently like a couple of months to a year before the like 100 gigabits per second Ethernet ports became standard. So what Amazon are delivering today when they eventually turn up is a USB 3 to Ethernet connector. which should at least give me faster Ethernet speeds via a cable than what you call it, the wall socket. Instead of the back socket, which is way slower than my actual internet. Of course, when I was on BT, I didn't know that because the BT never got to 100 megabits at all. Yeah, we thought about buying an extra one. We have two. Like I said, we got two of our package. So there's literally one. Hang on. See, there's one there, but that's not the front room one. We've got one in the front room, where the line comes into the house. What I did today was actually put a Cat6 Ethernet cable and ran that as an extension, so it now sits on the back end of the living room. So basically what it means is it's further into the house, because the way our house is laid out is that way every computer and that's used in the house will get a better signal that way, rather than having it by the front room window. And then I've currently got a big Wi-Fi extender that goes into that corner. I have to be careful not to show a gun on the live stream. Oh, I can't really show it. There you see it. I've got the Wi-Fi extender against that wall, and that gets me about 400 to 500 megabits per second now. But like I said, what I'm going to do is see if I run an Ethernet cable into a USB 3 adapter on this PC, if that's actually a better speed again. But like I said, no problems with Giga Clear themselves yet. It's just, like I said, I'm more and more realizing now that this computer is really showing its age. Like, it's a ship of Theseus where it's got a 3090 in it, which is better than the GPU it came with. The CPU in it still holds up all right, but it's still DDR4 RAM, barely has any USB 3 sockets on it. It really does need upgrading, but sadly the current lineup of PC hardware is a bit shit. So I don't really want to spend like $3 or $4 grand for something that's only a 20% improvement over this. So I'm just gonna have to limp this thing along until it until I guess I do get a better PC. But anyway, I will better go now because I'm getting very hungry, and it's still going to be another 20 minutes in schedule one for my money to launder. And let me check when my Amazon parcel is due, because typically where I want to set up this internet, it's one of those very late evening Amazon deliveries today when they might go, oh, whoops, we ran out of time, we'll do it tomorrow. Oh, it was delivered. Oh, that's cool. Right, okay, they delivered it earlier and I didn't get the notification. They've left it by the side door, so I'm going to go find that now. I'm just going off Ryler audio. I've been on an hour and 20 minutes now. So yeah, anyway, Rajiv, ask me on Steam if you want more help with stab vests, because like I said, I can link you up to some people. Well, that makes it sound way dodgier, doesn't it? I just mean I know what I'm looking at on them if you want. But yeah. Right, anyway, have a good evening, everybody. I'll head off now. Thanks everyone for coming on. There's a gas mask video with this gas mask that goes live tomorrow at midnight, today at midnight. Whatever time zone you're in, it might be today technically for you, tomorrow UK time. And then I'm going to try and get another video done for Friday or whatever before I'm stuck at work at the weekend. Right, have a good day, everybody. If I get time to stream again a bit more before I'm stuck at work again, then I'll do some more streaming. But again, I don't always know what's going on every day for how much time I've got. Right, have a good day, everybody. See ya. Bye.